Is your head always spinning, thinking of ideas, thinking of new things you can implement in your business, things you can change to attract more people to your website, things you can do to your marketing, a different content piece that really get people interested, a piece that really resonates with them? You're just like me. My head is constantly going with ideas. And so if you're like that, listen to this show, because my guest today is going to shed some insight about how maybe we slow down that wheel in our head to get on the direct path, and we will see our businesses grow. My guest today is Mitch Bettis. Mitch is the president and owner of Arkansas Business Publishing Group, an award-winning digital marketing and media company that was founded in 1995. For over 30 years, he's been in publishing and in management, and today he's going to give us some insight on getting us on a nice, direct path to success. But before we get started, my name is Donna Peterson, and you are listening to the B2B Marketing Excellence Podcast. This podcast is to inspire success. I talk with business leaders all over the world about what's working, what's not, some big failures, and what they foresee for the future. These insights are things that we can implement as business owners so that our businesses can grow faster and efficiently. So let's jump in. Hey, Mitch, how are you today?
Good morning. Good to see you.
Yeah, good seeing you. I am so happy to have you with us on the podcast today, because when I heard you speak at OMIDA, I was just like, oh.
Well, that was very kind, and we do love telling kind of the story of how we approach things around here. So I was grateful they asked us to sort of share the journey we've been on. So,
Well, when you started to talk about the why, and I find that to be very important for myself, but also anyone who's in business, or if you're employed by someone else, you got to understand, what is your why? Why are you doing what you're doing? And will it make an imprint in the world as you go forward? And so I loved when you brought that up.
Well, it's an interesting journey there, articulating our purpose in the universe, because we have our company, we have we'll get into this, I guess. We have about 30 different products. We have multiple teams that work on different products, very different niches, digital teams, event teams, and all those things. And we have both operations in Arkansas and Texas. So sort of creating a common why is it's really sort of critical for us to find that sort of unifying, motivating, focusing factor. And I haven't always been that great at sort of articulating that, but it's something over the last 10 to 15 years I've worked kind of harder at. And I do think it pays dividends on the whole. It helps sort of unify our mission together. So.
Yeah, I think it's helpful also when you have it, if you share it with the entire team, then they understand. And it really just helps us all stay on the right path to achieving the goals we want. But you're right, that articulating of the why is it's tricky. I always feel like I'm constantly tweaking it.
That's right. Yeah.
I'm constantly changing it. I'm like, well, Donna, no, you got to get a definite one. So, and you got to stop changing it. But maybe that's life. Different things happen and you need to tweak it.
I think you're right. But we do look for multiple ways here to kind of reinforce this. We have an all-staff meeting every quarter where this comes up. And in fact, I'm in our Arkansas office today. There's a banner in the hallway that sits there every day. It's a stand-up giant banner that everybody walks by. And it says, we're here to make good things happen for other people. And no matter really what product we're doing, whether we're working with an advertising partner, whether we are working on building content out for an event or one of our unique niches, the business magazine, the bridal magazine, the luxury lifestyle magazine, doesn't matter. if our folk, if how we handle service, how we answer the phone, how we handle invoicing, how we handle problems, like we are here ultimately to enrich other people's lives and help them get from point A to point B with content they couldn't get anywhere else, with an experience they couldn't get anywhere else. So I do want our folks thinking about what can I do today to help make good things happen for other people, and really every little step that we possibly do. It's sort of a unifying language we have found that helps us at least stay a little bit focused in this very distracting world we're all in. So.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that was one of the things I was going to ask you, like one of your strategies for success. But right there, you just told us one. You have the why, but you also keep it very visible for everyone with your organization. Plus, you reinforce it then in your quarterly meetings so that everyone understands what the why is. And the why is different than the what.
That's right. That's right.
You know, what you do is totally different. I think we've all read the book. Simon Sinek has the book, which I'm a big big fan. But isn't that important? It's about why, and that's where people will connect with you more, is if they're in line with your why.
And I think it's helped us, or helped me maybe, to even determine what we do not want to do. We're launching 1 or 2 new magazines a year, or a new initiative, or a new thing, and we've been in acquisition mode. So part of that is really, can we deliver on that promise? Does this change in our life sometimes helps me weed out the things in our life? It is focusing for us on the why. We also have the 3 whats. I don't know if we want to get into that, but and I find myself, this is one of the things I think our team must get sick of me, because I find myself, the bigger and bigger our team has gotten, I seem to say fewer and fewer things. I just am in repetition mode. Every time we can sort of reinforce the why and the 3 whats, so I find just from my own little leadership, I almost feel like I'm repeating things all the time, but I'm talking to so many different people in our team and community. But I do think that's focusing. It's just a good reminder on the why and our 3 whats, that we focus on that. It's all gonna be okay.
Right. And that repetition. And I started to laugh when you were saying that, because when my children were little, they watched this television show called Teletubbies. And they're like there were these little bears that went around, but they always repeated the message over and over. And I think that even works for adults. I think we need to see messages sometimes over and over so that we understand it, we're reminded of it, and we also think about how we're going to go forward.
So this is the thing I've tried to get better at, is sort of keeping it simple, and that repetition sort of helps, I think, all of us focus. And maybe it just helps me focus at the end of the day with all the scramble in my own brain. Like, why am I here? Oh, okay. I just walked past that sign. It's a good reminder. What do I need to be good at? Those what we call our 3 whats. Okay, all right. All these decisions we're making sort of help everybody focus. And so I think as adults, I can appreciate the Teletubby. I used to hate those moments when my kids we were watching Dora or Teletubbies or Little Einsteins. We've done them all, of course, and there is a lot of repetition in those learning moments, and they used to get stuck in my brain. But I think as adults, you're right. And there's these sweet, tender moments when somebody repeats back to me in just a sporadic conversation, the why or the 3 whats. It just brings tears to my eyes. Like, oh my goodness, somebody heard it to me.
Well, as a leader, that's what you want. You don't want to be a dictator saying, do this, and this. But if they actually hear what you're saying, understand it, and then implement it in their work, I think that's what we're all trying to achieve as a leader.
I find it incredibly fulfilling. It's one of the things that brings joy for me, actually. We have a group of interns every summer that, we have 7 or 8 paid interns that come in the summers in all different parts of the company, and I take them to lunch. And one of them asked the other day a question I don't get very often, like, kind of what makes you happy about keeping doing this? Because I've been doing this job as some version a long time. And one of them is that we get to make an impact and do good things for other people. And I feel a great mission and purpose in that, in terms of all the audience we serve. But one of those is with our team members, getting a chance to watch them grow and evolve in their own personal development, professional development, leadership development. Sometimes they grow out of this company and into another thing.
Yeah.
Then they come back, and all of that sort of human journey is incredibly rewarding to me.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so I think you're right. Those investments are pay a lot of dividends and can bring a lot of joy. So
Yeah. And that's funny, you bring this up, and I know we're going way off course, but we're just having this great conversation. But when you can inspire an individual to grow, and like you said, even if they grow outside your company, I know it warms my heart because, maybe this isn't the spot for them. Maybe they need to go to that other company so that they can achieve what their purpose is here in this world. And as long as we're able to nurture them and inspire them and educate them to do that, I think that's what we're here to do.
I completely appreciate that. That's been an evolution for me. In early leadership, I was just angry when somebody left. Like, I've invested this money and this time, and we've got all this momentum, and you're interrupting it by leaving me. It was some anger, I guess, and it was just personal. But now I just sort of see us here doing life together, perhaps for a season, and let's work together for this kind of enriching moment and for a common good for a period. And maybe this will be a 30-year partnership. Maybe this will be a 3-year partnership. And we've got a number of people in this company. We have 80 people. I bet there's 10 or 15 who are what we call boomerangs, who left us at one point and have come back.
Yeah.
And in fact, we have several that have come back 2 or 3 times because life took them away.
Yeah.
And then they came back with a whole different set of skills and ways to contribute. And then we even, on their little nameplates around the building, even celebrate their return. They literally have a boomerang on their nameplate.
Nice.
So we sort of celebrate that journey. And sometimes the journey is, we've done everything together that's meaningful, and now we're going to celebrate you taking this next step. And let's not burn any bridges. We may circle back together. So.
Because sometimes when they leave, they needed to leave. They needed to leave to grow or to check something out. And when they come back, they're even more driven and more excited about being in this position that they achieve great things. It's just, even with clients of mine, same with you, when I was first starting out, if a client left us or went to somebody else, I would get so mad, like, why? I do such great service. You must. But then I realized, if you don't want to work with us, we're just not a good fit, maybe. And we've had it where sometimes they leave and we never see them again. But a lot of times they'll come back. And then we have customers of ours we've had, over 15, 20 years. We're a 42-year-old company. So we always have kind of that turnover, but we always get the referrals. We get the people who stay. But when they leave, maybe that's just what they needed to do.
That's right.
I agree. Force people. Yeah, you can't force them to stay. You can't force clients to work with you. And it's not good for us. It's not good for our energy levels to get so upset. So.
Right. I've wasted a lot of energy and anger along the journey, and or disappointment and sadness. But I've sort of evolved to that point too. That I'm always sad to see someone go value a client or an employee. But I think God has a way of working these things out. So.
I totally agree. I totally agree with that. So now, as you're in a lot in the B2B marketing space, and I'm curious, as such an experienced leader, and we all know that fostering relationships, sort of like what we were just talking about, fostering relationships with our employees, with your readers, how are you able to do that? Because you have so many different publications. How do you foster those relationships? And do you find them to be as important as I do?
So first of all, on the whole, in the company, we're about 1/3 B2B and about 2/3 B2C, just when you really sort of do all the big picture math on that. But B2B is a huge part of our kind of focus and initiative here. And we have the state's business magazine. Most of the events, large scale events we produce, are business driven. So, but I'd say this goes for the same for B2B and B2C. We spend a lot of time in this company talking about the word trust.
Uh,
So how do we build, foster, and maintain trust
mhm,
with our readers in
mhm.
terms of the quality, in terms of the uniqueness, in terms of the impactfulness of our content or our events and our experience and our service? How do we build trust with you? And then we talk about that with our advertising partners. Like, it's, if we're here to make good things happen for other people, we have to make sure they have the advertising partners have the right audience, so that they can be successful. And then we talk about trust in the context of how our managers in this company do life together, because there's conflicts that we have to work through.
Yeah.
And then other employees, how do we build trust? And I don't know how to build trust without building relationship. I think at the end of the day,
Yeah.
um, um, I don't know how to do it. Maybe there are ways. I just don't
I
have
don't know. I don't know of any. The only way I know is trust usually branches out from relationships.
Yeah. So whether that's, the local Rotary Club where we're sitting next to each other doing lunch, whether that is our community initiatives, whether that is being present with one another when we're trying to solve problems, whether that's being, which happens in my life and probably your life, especially when you're in a media business and we have all these pubs and all these products, you eventually you have thousands, hundreds of thousands of readers because they're all in different. Somebody's upset at some point, and it's, a lot of the trust building really happens when, or we've screwed something up. I mean, either way, whether they're just upset or we've screwed something up, and sort of how we sort of personally, with heart and truth, but how do we walk through those? So I think the relational component of the human element does matter, even in this highly digital, hybrid, Zoomy world that we're in at the moment. I just don't know how I should do it. And we also know this, at least from our experience, trust is incredibly fragile. I think we can make an error in one of our products or how we handle a situation relationally. And if we have a depth of trust, I think we get a second chance, but I don't know that we get many more these days. It is. So this kind of notion of how do we foster relationships? How do we cultivate kind of meaningful things for one another, be that our audience, be that internal staff. I think trust is a critical part of our, just how we have to build that, and you do that through relationships. I just don't know. I'll share one other thing. In fact, our exec team, frankly, about 18 months ago to the present, I was having some real frustrations with them about really just how they were collaborating or not collaborating. And there was just a lot of things building. So we have forced them to actually, we've been going through several months worth of a book and a study here. I'm not the book, I get nothing out of it, but it is really, again, about building trust. It's all 7 of us around a table. There's a whole process of sort of personal revelation with one another about how we make decisions and where our weaknesses are, and developing candor, but it's highly relational, ultimately to build trust, so that as we make big picture decisions together, we're at least going to have a better understanding and a better walk. And so I do value your approach on relationship. And for us, we sort of talk about this a lot around the terms of how do we build trust with one another. So.
That's amazing what you just said, that you're taking in your top executives, you're sitting around a table, because it's important for us. Yes, you want to build trust, but you also have to understand the other person, how they communicate, what's important to them, what resonates with them, and understand their thinking so that you all can be on the same page. Because I know when I first started my career, I was very ignorant about that. I thought everyone thought like I did.
Yes, me too. I understand that. Yes.
And I always had my own agenda, and I would jump in, and I was like, and I thought everyone was right with me. And I would get so discouraged when people on our team weren't with me. And that's when I finally understood, I figured it out. They're different than me. The way they take in information is different. The way they communicate, the way they think, what they want to do next is different. And I have to appreciate the differences between us, because it'll help us all succeed.
I agree. Frankly, that book walks through that too. But and a lot of people do these. We're not unique, but we love these. We do every kind of leadership assessment, personality assessment possible, whether that's the Myers-Briggs or the Enneagram or the Smalley or the Berkman, the Strengths Finder. We do that, and we use that language in the building. We really rallied around the Smalley method.
Good.
There's a lot of these. There's DISC and color. All of them have that. But the premise of that concept is exactly what you just articulated, that all of us bring a viewpoint, a way, a mindset to the table. We have strengths that we bring to the table, but we don't have everybody else's strengths. And if we really value, to have real success, we need to value what other people bring to the table. It really makes a much more complete team.
Yes.
When we value all of those voices. And so, yes,
You'll be more successful. You're going to be more successful that way, because now you have all these people that are filling in the gap. Because I look at it like a circle, and I'm here, but I need everybody else to be here. And when we all can work together, and I think, don't get me started, but I think that's a big problem we have in our society is people are off doing their own thing instead of us all coming together and working in a collaborative way to achieve something amazing.
Even so the Smalley method is animals, lions, beavers, otters, and retrievers. It's like anything else. You could easily do colors, but we openly talk about it's okay that he's responding that way. Remember, he's a beaver and they think this way. I understand you're irritated, but she's a lion, and lions are very aggressive and they think this way. And it's helped us value other people, what they bring to the table, understand when these communication challenges differ, and we celebrate the fact that we need all animals in the zoo. Like all of them bring something.
Yeah. Otherwise it's a boring zoo.
That's right. Yeah, just a bunch of lions like me barking at each other, and nothing gets done at the end of the day. And so I another thing that was interesting for us when I came to this company 10 years ago. I bought it 4 years ago, but I started 10 years ago here. I had a pretty substantial rumor mill in the building that was highly counterproductive and dysfunctional, and but a lot of it, there was a lot of reasons for that, but much of it is we had not really worked hard on understanding and appreciating what everybody brings to the table. And a lot of people just didn't feel valued, so they began to sort of lash out and nip at other people. And sort of when we do what you just said, sort of value the whole and the differences of the whole, the strengths of the whole, I'm amazed at how just that level of tension and that level of pettiness and that little junior high, she looked at me funny in the hallway kind of stuff went away. And so we spend a lot less time on the silliness when we find that we can appreciate why somebody behaves a certain way, responds a certain way based on their DNA or their life experience. So that has been an important part of our success journey, I think. So.
Yeah, and that was important for us because we're a family-owned business. And so not only do you have the different personalities, but you have family members. And one of them is my husband. So my husband joined after I did. And for a while there, we were doing a little bit of this, but it was because I was not embracing his different way of thinking about things. And he wasn't embracing the way, so it wasn't until we educated ourselves and realized, you know what, we're both doing it right. If you want to say right, maybe that's not, let's say right. We're both doing it the right way. We're just doing it in a different way. And when we finally started to work together, we would complement each other. And that's when we achieved great things. And just like yourself, now that you're getting the whole team to realize we're all doing it right in our own way. And when we work together, that's when we're going to achieve success.
That's right. I agree.
Yeah. So now this is probably one of the answers to your question. I wanted to know, right now, we've seen it with publishers. They're going through a tough time. You see some publishers, they can't keep their subscription numbers up. They're folding, they're combining. How have you been able to keep, you have all these different magazines. How have you been able to grow your audiences, but also keep them diversified because you have so many different verticals that you're working in?
Great question. And we have been really blessed on some of this journey. And so for our business magazine, it is a paid subscription product. We had a record number of subscribers last year, which beat the record number of the year before. And so I know, I'm thrilled.
Nice.
And, I recognize that when we think of some magazines, and certainly I used to I had a long life in the newspaper business, that has had a very dynamic change over the last 10 to 15 years in terms of paid subscriptions in that model. So we've been counter to that. And so I get that how and why. And I come back to a couple of things I've sort of rallied around relative to that product. Number one, we have this sort of gets to the 3 whats, by the way. I might as well just unveil the 3
Bring
whats.
them in there.
Because I say, if we do these things well, everything else falls into place. And that is, number one, we must provide content, be that in the written form, the design form, or if you're in events, experience form, that our audience can't get anywhere else. It must be meaningful and impactful, and frankly, change the arc of their life, whether that's the business magazine or the bridal magazine or the tourism magazine. It doesn't matter, because content is so pervasive. You can get a lot of things a lot of places. So how are we different, meaningful, impactful from a content standpoint? Number one. Number two, we must be so great at service that everybody, when they encounter anybody in this team, how we answer the phone, doesn't matter. How we handle a billing problem, doesn't matter. That they have this concierge experience where they know they've been taken care of. Again, most of our audiences are affluent, educated decision makers. They can get content anywhere in the world they want it. They don't need us, right? We've got to really take care of them in a meaningful way. So content, service, and lastly, audience, which is sort of what brought us together at Omeda, is that we've got to work really hard at understanding what our audience who they are and what they need. So I've got a tremendous team of content providers at the Business Journal, and there are 12 folks over there on the content team, and they're amazing. However, they have never run a business, ever. They have no idea what CEOs are dealing with. They do not. And they're incredible, gifted writers, valuable storytellers, great listeners. They've been there from, I've got multiple 20 to 40 year content folks over there. So a lot of amazing depth, but they've never run a business. So, so they've got to work really hard. And we've got a luxury lifestyle magazine, and we pay our people decently, but they're not multimillionaire socialites. Right. So you work to understand that and really deliver that on a high level. So back to success. I think if we do those 3 things well, sales will come. I actually think, and not that sales is easy, it's the hardest thing, but I think if we focus on the 3 whats, so many other things happen. And I think that's been the value of how we've been able to grow, is that we just get hyper focused on doing something nobody else is doing, and doing that at a high level. Try to take care of people in a way that is so distinctive in this universe. They felt like they've had an experience that was a shock. And then we deliver this in a way that's so good for them. We understand what their problems are, and we've worked to mean that. And I think that the 3 whats have sort of helped us in all these areas try to get a little nudge above. And so,
and I think you do with those 3 whats. All right. Well, Mitch, I want to thank you so much for your time today. And the insights were amazing.
Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for the opportunity to visit Donna, and look forward to paths crossing again. So
great. Talk to you soon.
All right.
Bye. Thank you for listening to the B2B Marketing Excellence Podcast. Please hit the subscribe button below so you don't miss our next episode. And in the meantime, if you'd like to talk to me, please feel free to send me an email to dpeterson@worldinnovators.com. Till next time, have a great day.